Motul Racewars is Australia's premier runway event and now the only one that runs the standing kilometre. Nearly 200 cars roll into amazing Albany to race and enjoy a weekend away at the great southern coast of Western Australia. Everything from basic street cars to race cars and all types from classic and old school muscle to highly modified high-tech monsters. Hell, there's even a jet car. There is literally something for everyone to watch on track, get up close and personal within the pits, along with plenty to check out in the traders area. The event sees roll racing over the quarter and half mile on Saturday, Forged Magazine cash days and grudge racing over the 8th mile on Saturday night under lights, before the standing kilometre Motul VMAX Challenge on Sunday. And all followed up by the ACM Electrical Racewars Sprint on the streets of Albany on Monday morning. Motul Oils returned as the naming rights sponsor of Race Wars for 2018, and beyond their support for the event and competitors, they also like to get amongst it, with Nick entering his 1,000 horsepower R34 GTR.
I'm Nick, I've got an R34 GTR. I'm basically the major sponsor here. I'd like to get behind it and make sure everyone has a good time at it. It's about bringing what you've got and throwing it down and seeing what you can do and, you know, gradually getting better, and it's about having fun behind the wheel. The Nitto RB28, twin 6262 precisions, runs E85, there's a few other little tricks and bits underneath there, but the majority of it, yep. We're probably 95% of the way there. We pulled it off the dyno Friday morning. It blew some nice numbers, a little over 1,000 horsepower. I'm still learning to drive it at that high range. It's not something I'm familiar with, so we're getting there. And we're kind of running into a few little issues with the springs pressure at the moment, so we're playing with that. Hopefully we fixed it now and I can put down a decent number.
The event kicked off Saturday morning with the Fleet Pro quarter mile roll racing. It was a good way for competitors to test out their car, test out the surface, and work their way into it. The roll racing also allowed for passengers, which is always a good time. Many cars set up for top-end power and saving their high boost settings for day 2, the quarter-mile leaderboard was a mixed bag, but the fastest over the quarter with 252.2 kilometres per hour was Anthony Knight in the RX-7.
How you going? My name's Anthony and this is my twin-turbo RX-7. Well, I figure I've done my time. I did 25 years as a turbo raider. It was a 10-second car and I had a bit of time spare, so I whacked the V8 in it and I think it was going to go slower. So had to sort that rod out. So twin turbos, I think, did the trick. Well, most people will be a bit surprised. It's a standard LS2. All I've done is chuck a Brian Tooley racing cam in it, set of valve springs and push rods, that's it. It's a stock motor, stock gearbox. It's got no flywheel. I'm just running a flex plate with a quartermaster triple plate in it, and it's just got a little button clutch, and so there's no mass. You jump on the throttle, it's instantly a red line. Yeah, well, I've done a little bit of drag racing. I always like the idea of circuit stuff. I always have a ball at the power cruisers and stuff. So I'm a little bit lost what to do with it, to tell you the truth. I'm trying to find a category. Anyone got any ideas? Well, we're making about 800 horsepower, probably a little bit more at the moment because we've, the booster's just tickled up a little bit. So probably around about 820. Turbos are just GT35s, standard ones. The wastegate's Turbo Smart 45s. We've got a 2,000 horsepower plasma intercooler in there, or 3.5-inch cooler piping. Oh, the ECUs are Holly AFI Dominator. Brilliant setup, like, what you can do with it's just amazing. I did the fastest over 400. I'm not sure the time, to tell you the truth. Pretty happy with that, but I think we've got a bit more in it today, a few little tweaks. So we're swapping tyres over left to right, so a tyre the side that is rubbing a little bit, is nice and fresh and hasn't been touched before, and we've jacked up the coilovers a little bit more. Hopefully that's going to sort that problem out, but we've got a little bit more boost problem left in it, and we've taken a little bit of downforce out of the spoiler, so we're hoping to go a bit faster and get that #1 spot back.
Anthony went on to come 5th in the half-mile roll racing and came 8th for top speed and 3rd for ET over the standing kilometre VMAX challenge. Impressive stuff. Once everyone was warmed up, Saturday afternoon saw the Mad Inc. half-mile roll racing kick off. One car we had to take a closer peek at was Andrew Strickland's V8 Turbo Volvo.
Hi, my name's Andrew, and this is my Volvo called Volvo. Alright, so it's a 1980 242 GT. They come with a 2.1 litre 4-cylinder, and I've decided to put an iron block LS in it with a little turbo. My very first car was a 242 GT as a kid, and I think I've had the most fun in that ever. I found that car after I sold it 10 years later, and this came with it for free. So it sat in the shed for quite some time, and then a friend of mine pulled it out and had some great plans, and it went from a budget build to not so budget build, but it's all fun. It's a 5.3 litre, it's got just forged pistons and rods, stock crank, Edelbrock heads, a VS Racing S480 clone, so it's 80mm turbo. 480E behind it, which is full manualised by Keys transmission, and the diff's just a poor man's 9-inch. It's a Ford 8.8 out of a Explorer with the right-hand side cut 3 inches out and 2 left-hand axles, so we'll see if it holds together. Yeah, Ash Davies at DVS Performance, he's a Volvo specialist, has sorted me out with suspension, so it's got Gaz gold coilovers all round, S60R big Brembos up the front, the stock Explorer rear brakes. It's all about the sleeper, I guess, Andrew. I always like the dirty, shittier cars, especially when you build them yourself. And I don't really have the budget to make it look good, so it's nothing like something like this lining up next to something really nice. And having a go. Rob just checked over at Monster Talk, checked over it for me just before Race Wars, and on the hub dyno we got 859 at the wheels, so it's a bit of a handful, yeah. I've been learning to drive it because this is the first actual track time it's had, so we're dialing it in a bit. The 800 yesterday, I got a 273 in it, so over the 1,000. I'll see if I've got the minerals to hold it together, but it's got no aerodynamics, so it's a little bit sketchy top end, but we'll see. I'm not in to win, I'm just having fun. Yeah, smiles per hour through the roof this year. It's just fun to drive, and I love talking to people about it because, you know, I've spent a lot of hours on it, so yeah, hopefully it's a crowd favourite and everyone loves it and gives people a bit of a laugh.
Yeah, Adam Monk from West Australia. It's a Nissan S14, new on back car, twin turbo LSA, making anywhere between kind of 700 to 1,000 kind of horsepower. Got it wound down fairly low at the moment, but we're trying to kind of get our ETs and make some power now, but I don't know, we'll just see how it goes. Started its life as a 6 litre in WA, then we added a couple of turbos and bits and pieces to make it go a bit stupid. Yeah, look, the car has changed a little bit. We put a water to air cooler so we can close out the front of the intercooler. The rear ducktail is kind of knocked up to reduce the drag, and the wing is for more downforce at the end of the track.
Ooh. How's it go?
Ooh!
Hey, Matty Bear, I've got a S13 91 with a 630 horsepower SR20 VVL motor, custom 25 box, stock rear end, full cage, still has full working aircon, tuned by Hyperdrive Motorsport. It's a street car. It's just a killer street car pretty much. 400 metres, we ended up coming out first place by a margin too, and now we're sitting in second place by half a kilometre an hour in the 800s. So we're going to turn it up and go hard.
Many were surprised to see the 300 km/h barrier cracked by 5 cars during the half-mile roll racing. Anthony Knight in the RX-7 with 301.7 km/h. James Bleakley in the Supra with 304.7 km/h. And we think Peter Gray surprised himself as much as us in the Gidgee Motorsport R33 GTR.
It's Peter Graves from Gidgee Mechanical up in the hills. Yeah, and we build GTRs.
Is there anything else worth building?
But not at the moment. As soon as Race Wars is over, we'll see. It made 1,027 at the wheels. It's a 7586 precision and a 2.8 stroker, then with a Hollinger behind it. So on 295 over 800. So as I said, today, as long as we get the 300, I'll be happy. But whatever we get over, that's a bonus. That was awesome, Andrew. Thank you very much. Really happy.
I think about 1,000 Supra owners just went and cried in the corner.
Yeah.
How do you feel making sure GTR stays #1?
That's it, mate. They're awesome.
Now the big question is, how much boost have you got left to play with, and how much more assertiveness can you give the car?
You'll have to ask Mike Ward that. I don't know yet. We'll see what else we can do.
But it was Race Wars veteran and the country's fastest two-wheel drive, Eddie Tassoni, who was the fastest with 309 kilometres per hour. As the sun set on Albany Airport, the Forged Magazine Cash Days got underway. Competitors buy in, with the winner taking all in an 8th mile heads-up shootout. This year saw both a four-wheel drive and two-wheel drive category, as well as some grudge racing. In the end, it was Stephen Adams in the Commodore that took home the $5,000 for the win of the Forged Magazine Cash Days. Sunday morning saw some more Mad Inc. half-mile roll racing before the main attraction kicked off. The VMAX is a standing kilometre with no passengers and a solo run. Top speed is the aim of the game. The big news come Sunday morning was that Jose had turned up in his mental Supra and Anthony Scarley had turned up in the legendary Need for Speed R32 Skyline GTR. A fashionably late entrance. Frosty tried to get a sneak peek.
I'm Frosty from WA. Can I please see under the bonnet? Please? I'll give you $1.
But Anthony decided he'd show me instead.
Accelerator's far right, so that goes down, and then the clutch will just go to the side, and then I'll just hang on this thing like this.
Being a standing start, ETs came into the mix, and the cars that could get the best launch could make up for some top-end power. Both half-mile and kilometre ETs and speeds were recorded for all runs. Probably the most impressive car was Simon Richards' R32 Skyline GTR. Marble's car still uses the stock bottom end to make 770 horsepower at the rear hubs. He managed quickest ET over the half mile with a 15.672, and his GTR was the second quickest over the 1,000 metres with an 18.106 with 291.05 kilometres per hour. But even more impressive was that Simon went out Monday morning and won the Race Wars sprint by nearly 2 seconds. The VMAX Challenge saw cars being pushed to their limits, and this year, 12 cars would join the 300 Club, proving that everyone had truly stepped up their game. 12th was Royce Hall with 303 kilometres per hour.
Royce Hall, R32 four-door, got an RB25 Neo, which is basically stock, just got head studs, springs and a gasket. GDX 42, 37 pounder boost and 900 horsepower.
11th was Adam Monk in the mental twin-turbo V8 Silvia, who finally joined the 300 club with 305 kilometres per hour. 10th was Shannon Summers in the 2007 HSV Club Sport with 306. 9th place was Josh Herridge in the F6E from Monster Talk with 310.48 kilometres per hour. 8th place was Anthony Knight in the Turbo V8 RX7, who went 310.6 kilometres per hour. 7th place went to Ken Christie in the Commodore with 311. 6th place was Simon Asepi's mental AU Falcon, sporting a twin-turbo LS. It shocked everyone with a 314 kilometre per hour pass. 5th place went to David Christie in the Holden Commodore with 314.96 kilometres per hour. Need for Speed was now sporting a 3.2 litre RB combo with almost new everything. Steve Jones first went out on gate pressure of 20 psi and ripped out 316 kilometres per hour. Anthony then turned the car up with the goal of destroying the field, but an electrical issue hampered their efforts. They tried everything they could for the entire afternoon, but it turned out later that the crank trigger simply couldn't keep up with just how far the car ramped up onto boost, giving them a misfire they couldn't get rid of on the day. The fairy tale finish would have to go on hold for a year, but they still finished in 4th place for speed with 316 and quickest 1000 metre ET with 18.085. No doubt the team will be back in 2019. On to the podium positions, and 3rd place went to Jose in the Supra with a mental 321 kilometres per hour. Second place went to Peter Gray in the Gidgee Motorsport R33 with 324.94 kilometres per hour, making him the fastest GTR in WA and the fastest Skyline GTR in Australia over 1,000 metres.
Right, the Gidgee Motors.
And taking the win of the Motul VMAX Challenge by nearly 10 kilometres per hour was Eddie Tassoni from Active Automotive in his monster HSV GTO. 334 kilometres per hour makes him the fastest car in WA ever, second fastest in Australia, and the fastest two-wheel drive in the country over 1,000 metres. With records set and so many cars in the 300 club, the big question is what's next for Motul Racewars? The talk of the town is 350 kilometres per hour in 2019 or bust. See you then. More info at racewars.com.au. This is Racewars, Motul Racewars, Albany Airport. This is our vlog. You're going to get to see what happens behind the scenes, things like this. Watch. Ready? Wow. Just a quick one. Quarter mile's 400 metres, right? It's 402. 400 in what? In two? So 800 metres? 402 metres. 400 and a quarter mile. Okay, so where do I go back to come back home? So I just told Marbles I'm going to have 732 cameras on or filming his car just to see what really happens with his stock bottom end. Stop. All right, we've been talking about this for months. It's been the most talked up hype of battles of GTRs ever. It's Marbles. Hello, mate.
How you going?
I've heard that apparently we have a long-running feud and hate each other on the internet.
On the internet?
Yeah, on the internet.
All right, I'm going to do skids. No skids yet, no skids.
I love your logo, mate.
Nah, cheers.
All right, this sticker is the best G-up ever. One last question. For the record, who's that sticker dedicated to?
Which sticker?
The RH59.
Gal Sport.
Torkins. Hello, mate. Did you go in the GDR?
I went for a run, yeah.
How was it?
It was really good.
Some alcoholic beverages were consumed. Some bad dance moves were enacted. A city of Western Australia was changed forever.
What am I talking about?
Okay, we've got a really important topic to cover.
Yep.
Okay, I need to know what is the physics behind the fact, how are you able to press the camera without smashing the camera to pieces with those guns?
It's no magic. I've got a soft touch. That's what all the boys say.
Ryan, why won't he take you on in a muscle off on the start line?
He's a bit scared.
Scared of these? You're scared of all this?
That's pushing a lot of boundaries.
Can I get a close-up of the gun as you're pressing it? Ready? Okay. Can you just give it a massive flex as you press the button? Go. You ready?
I got an earplug. I'll give you an earplug. Because Paul Brockbank actually is a physicist by nature, apparently, I believe his father gave him a degree. So we needed to harness the capacity of said individual and put him at a point where he could assess the terminal speed and the velocity of the vehicles and the capacity of the drivers themselves as they perambulate their way down the runway. And we thought Mr. Paul Brockbank of Empire Performance is the man for the job. As such, he is over at Grump Tower, assessing the situation and keeping all of us safe and sound, and I can sleep at night.
How do you stop the thousands of women trying to meet him from getting to that tower? Is there extra security?
No, we actually have pots of hot boiling oil, and as the women start to come en masse like a zombie invasion, we pour the oil down. It's usually coconut oil, and they end up just sunbathing around him instead.
I know a guy.
You know a guy? I'm open to tips.
Say goodbye. I'm gonna say goodbye. Looking for someone all these years that can understand my fears. So when I get you, girl, why did I have to make you cry? Why?